Hey, welcome to the Stress-Reduced Fat Loss Podcast. I'm your host, Ken, and I'm here with a very special person, Whitney. How are you?
Hey, Ken, how's it going?
Great. We have, I haven't seen you in person in how long?
Years.
Years.
It would have been, I was trying to think of the last time I actually came up here, and I worked out with you here.
Holy jeez.
And it was, I think, 2017 or 18?
Holy
yeah.
crap. That is a long time. We've known each other. Well, we were.
And then I came for the transformation mentorship.
That's right.
In person.
So we've been clients together. We've been clients coach together.
Yep. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that journey a little bit, and then you ended up being student for the mentorship. A great student, I might add.
I was hooked.
One of our top students for sure. And then now your business is doing its thing. Now you have an online business and in-person business, both doing well.
Yes. Yeah, they're great.
So let's talk a little bit wait a minute. Before I jump ahead, I always jump ahead. We're going to be talking about what today? How to get your clients to break up with restriction mindset. Yeah, I'm reading the board if you're looking at me. I don't give a shit. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But first, let's talk about where you came from. Kind of your journey. I always like to find out from coaches, because coaches out there listening, it is nice to know someone who's gone through the process and has come out the other side. So you've seen it from all three angles, as obviously, like I said, being a client, being a student, now being your own entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you? Let's just kind of recap, kind of why we hopped in as a client, and then what you're looking for then. Because I think that'll bring to light the evolution of your system, your mindset that we're going to talk about today.
Definitely. So I came to you, Ken, first as a client because I was dealing with some burnout from previous bodybuilding competitions, and then also from like late night bartending and dealing with shift work, partying it up, serving my drinks, and I was really having a hard time losing weight, and I was restricting, and I was doing what I did before and like counting calories and trying to get leaner, and just the weight wasn't moving. And you were recommended to me by another bartender. Yes. Right. Oh my God. Paul. Yes. So Paul recommended you to me, and I came in for an assessment in person. That was back in 2016, and we ended up doing a lot of like gut protocol. Like it was a real big overhaul essentially for my body. But I was eating more than I had been, and I really just like my whole body, not just my body transformed, like my mind and like the brain fog that I was having that I don't even think I realized how bad it was, cleared, and like gut issues.
That was a long time ago.
Yes.
A long time ago. All right, so we did that. That went well, and I thought it went pretty well in terms of how your body changed, how you felt, what you learned, some ahas, I think.
Yep.
And then went on your way, did some great stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then we kind of connected again.
Yeah, we connected again. It would have been like 2018. I was doing like again more bartending, but then I was also managing a farm, and I was running my own like trailering company for horses.
Yeah.
And essentially
everything had leveled up for you busy-wise, right?
Busy-wise leveled up, and then everything I had learned, I needed to learn more. So I ended up having to come back. I kind of reburned myself out, didn't quite learn enough, so came back and again learned more about how to, have like sustainable health and wellness, and weight loss, I guess, is like the byproduct of it, to kind of keep myself healthy while I'm living my lifestyle.
Your busy life.
Yes.
And the cool part, I think, was, without going too far into it, is that realizing that our bodies change. Like we came in and we worked on your system one way. For those of you who know about, Stress-Reduced Fat Loss Practitioner-ship or in the Transformation Mentorship, we did some carb cycling, we did different stuff. And then the next time we did the keyword, you have some great keywords, by the way, that in my fitness life, you've created sleep cocaine.
Yes.
But just Senatol for all you Metadrinks people out there. Don't freak out. Not really that.
We don't snort it.
Yeah, that's right. What else did you called it? Renegade Boot Camp.
Yes.
For all you no carb boot camp. She created the Renegade for all you students out there. She's the one that created it.
The OG.
And then Kinda Keto, right?
Yep, Kinda Keto.
Because we did what we figured out was your body liked fats the second time we worked together, better than the first. But we still need a little bit of carbs in there.
Yeah.
So we had a different framework, and that was a really cool way of figuring out that we have to give the body what it needs.
Yeah.
And not go, this is what it is, It's got to be that way.
Yeah.
We kind of morphed it and made it work for you, and it worked fabulous.
Yeah.
Better than just being keto 100%. We kind of made it kind of keto, and you created that term.
Exactly, and I think it just really shows you have to listen to your clients and listen to, and also your own body about what it needs. Like, carbs are not totally off the table. You don't need to not eat carbs to lose weight. And you kind of, and there's seasons, right? Like, I was going through, like, one thing worked for me one time, but then, it didn't work the next time. So I had to readjust.
Right. And we're going to talk about that. It's different seasons of your clients is one of your cool points. We're going to talk about that. So what does that mean? You said that term to me the other day. We were kind of chatting on the phone, and I love that. I'm going to use it. I will quote you, obviously, because I always give you respect for that. Yes. Whenever I tag stick cocaine, I always tag you on there. But seasons clients go through, where does that come from? I love that. For coaches out there listening, what does that mean? What does that mean?
So, like, a season is essentially like a kind of like your season of life. We all have busy seasons. We all have like seasons where our mindset's just a little bit maybe shittier, or we have seasons where like shit's just going so well. Like am I allowed to swear on here?
Fucking
okay.
Right.
Like shit's just going so well, everything's great, and then and it ebbs and flows. Like life just ebbs and flows. Just like your work does. Sometimes you're really busy at work, and then sometimes you don't have any projects on the go. So I think it's really important to be able to teach your clients, and then as yourself, to also understand that you're going to have moments, and to give yourself some grace when those moments are a little bit overwhelming, and maybe meal prepping is just really fucking hard, or getting to the gym is really hard because you are just stretched so thin.
Yep.
And then you're going to get to a point where you have the time, or you're able to make that time.
So making adjustments in the client's life or the patient's life based on the season they're in is vital.
Is so important, because if I have a client that's like just stretched so thin, and she's so discouraged because she cannot get to the gym, she can't meal prep, she can't do this, they're just going to fall off. Like they're going to give up. They're going to say, I want to take a break, and we don't want breaks, right? So how do we adjust for them to make them feel like they're still winning?
I love that. And that, I guess that comes back to having the pulse of your client, in, being on the pulse of that client, knowing where they are, to understand what season they're in, not just being like, all right, do your stuff, fill out your plan, check in next week, bye.
Yeah.
Like you got to be more connected to that, right?
Yeah, checking in all the time with your clients and asking the open-ended questions, right? Like not asking for those yes or no questions, like, asking the whys.
That's important. A lot of yes and no's can really, I think, get people pigeonholed a little bit, and you may never get to the root of what's going on if you just answer those. So I like that. Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about you, where things are now. So did the transformation mentorship. How's life changed business-wise for you now? What's going on different? No longer, I think, running the farm anymore, not doing that, not doing anything like that.
No more running the farm. So for 2 years after I took the transformation mentorship, I actually stepped into a barn management role where I was living on property and managing this like 40-horse barn, and
That's crazy.
It was insane, especially through COVID. Like it was just it was bananas. That chapter is behind me, and I was able to I grew my business alongside my online training business alongside running the farm.
Wow.
And I really did, like, I found my niche with equestrians, although no one is off the table, because there's, all of this applies to everyone. But I ended up leaving.
Did you ever do equestrian? Am I asking a dumb question saying that? Were you ever doing equestrian?
Oh yeah, like I ride, and I was never like high level jumper or anything. I don't have the balls for that shit. Like my feet stay on the ground. But I do, like, the place I managed was all levels of like jumpers and dressage and like riders and everything. Okay. And I've worked with like a few jockeys, like standard bred, with the carts that race behind, like go behind them and stuff. So I've worked with a few of those.
Because I know you're all in there. I've seen you like. I remember talking once and saying, I got to eat this. My food's cold. I'm outside. I'm in the barn. I'm doing this. And it's like, what I always found fabulous about you is making it work.
Yeah.
As the day flowed, whether it was like super busy, you're eating cold outside, you're in the barn. Well, I can't do that then because usually I'm mucking or I'm doing that, but I can do it then. And I was like, this lady's just like chameleonizing and getting it to get the job done. And I think somehow that's also transitioned your clients, finding a way to help them.
Yes.
Whatever it needs to be, right? And that's, I think, one of your superpowers for sure, right?
Thank you. And I really do believe that there's like, not everyone needs to be this Instagram influencer meal prepper with these fancy meals. Like, I will literally just eat like a breast of chicken with my hand, or like a burger patty with my hand, because that's just how it's gonna happen.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
You just throw the food there, and I'm like, yeah, this is what it is today.
Yeah.
Like a sausage and that, and it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But you're getting it in. You're getting it done, right?
Gotta get it done. It doesn't have to look pretty. Like, no one has to. Just don't make eye contact when you're eating the sausage. Just don't make eye contact with anyone. Turn around, look away. But just get it in. Like,
That's right. That's right.
And you can make it happen. Like, it's just, it takes a little bit of planning, but, and I know when I went back to you for that second time around, I remember saying, listen, like, meal prep is almost just about off the table. Like, I don't have time to meal prep. I barely have time to grocery shop. So we looked at meal prep companies.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Like, how can we get these quick meals in?
That's right. It was about winning. I think at the end of the day, when you talk to clients or you're working with them, coaches out there, remembering that it's about them winning, and whatever that means, that's how we adjust and change things. Whether it's getting a meal prep service, finding a old man or old lady next door that likes to cook, that wants to do it for nothing, who just doesn't have kids anymore, and they'll come in and cook for you. Like, manifesting that, creating it, that's the winning. And the winning is the client getting the results.
Absolutely. Like, meeting them where they're at. Because, we forget how easy it is. We've been doing it forever, right? And it's almost like, it's like, okay, I gotta get back in my bullshit, or I gotta, hey, get it together. But the clients we're working with, this is not the norm. Like, we forget that this was hard at one point. The stuff that comes easy to us now. So
I remember that funny story that has nothing to do with nutrition, but I remember I've done martial arts my whole life, but never did judo or grappling. I was always like taekwondo, Muay Thai, like that kind of stuff. But then I started judo when I was in my late 30s, and I was like, I remember it was hard. Like, it was tough. It was completely different. I loved it because the first martial art, that when I did it, I felt pumped, like I worked out. I'm like, oh, this is great. But I remember at some point being so hard, I'd have my bag and I'd be standing outside in the parking lot going, I should be at home. I should be with the kids. My wife needs me. Why am I doing this? I don't want to get hurt because I want to work out. All these excuses, and the door was like right there. And I was like, wow, this is what clients go through.
Right.
When they got to do training or nutrition, or they find excuses why they should back out of it. So I remember playing games with myself and saying, okay, I'm just going to go put the bag on the mat.
Yes.
And if I can after I put on the mat, I can leave. I can do whatever the frick I want. I'm just going to do that, knowing that if I put on the mat, someone would say hi, then I'd go change, and I'd be on the mat. And when I'd leave, I'd feel on top of the world for accomplishing it, because you're going pretty much to get smashed. Yeah. But like, you know
what's on the other side of the door.
Right.
Yeah.
But it worked. Every time I played the game, just put on the mat, just go there, and winning every day helped me do it. But the point of that is remembering this wasn't easy for me. It was so easy to back out. It was so easy to run away. It was so easy to not do it because it wasn't my norm. And remembering that for clients, like I see, just reminded me that I think is cool for us as coaches to put ourselves in their shoes and go find something new in your life that made you want to run.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's also a reminder to kind of keep doing new things and stay feeling uncomfortable, because you have to. It's humbling. You gotta remember where everything started and what it is to learn something new, and I think that transitions too into like, I encourage my clients to fail.
Yes, that's the next thing we want to talk about. So talk about that a little bit. When we were talking about the other night, I was like, what? I like that. Explain that to me. What does that mean?
I want you to fuck up.
Yeah.
So I encourage my clients to fail because, in my opinion, that's one of the best ways to learn. I don't want my clients hitting the nail on the head every single time when they're with me, and then I send them away and they can't do it, or they fall off the plan because they haven't been able to troubleshoot or work through real life or real problems.
What does that look like for you? Like, is it like, all right, I want you to gain 20 pounds. What is that?
Yeah, that's a little extreme.
What does that mean? Like, what does that look like?
I think I mean more of like, I want them to, if when things come up through the week for them and they're like, I didn't get a chance to meal prep, or like the week got away from me, and then we then go back and revisit and say, okay, well, why? What happened here? So an example, actually, I have a client right now. She's really struggling with time. Like, she's a busy lady. She's got 2 jobs. Again, horse girl. She's like living on a farm. She's got a daughter. She goes to like a pet store for a second job. Really dealing with time issues right now. And what's worked is, now I've implemented in her check-ins, she has to send me like her weekly plan, like her weekly schedule. And then we look at, like, for her, she wasn't writing down. She was just kind of going along and then being like, oh my God, I haven't, like, today got away from me. I didn't meal prep. I didn't eat. So now she sends me, like, what her week looks like. And we say, okay, like, in the time you have, where are you grocery shopping? In the time you have, where are you meal prepping?
Right.
When are you getting to bed? Like,
I like that.
bedtime. So, and she loves it. It's really worked for her.
And for you to sit there and punch her in the face on food doesn't do anything.
No.
You didn't and that's what stress-reduced fat loss is for everyone understanding what the mentorship is about. We teach students stress-reduced fat loss, which is finding solutions to different stressors. And a stressor could be time.
Yes.
Time, balancing, time constraints. And you found that solution. I think that's how you keep clients happy and keep them winning, right?
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that.
Absolutely.
So let's go into, because I liked a lot of the premise. I was looking at your page and kind of following you along, as I always like your stuff.
Yeah.
I like your reels. I like all your stuff. And one of the best things you said was give structure, but try not to make it too specific. When we talked about meal planning, talk a little bit about that for coaches out there, how you do it, why you do it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I don't give straight up meal plans. I give like a guideline, and I will do, especially if it's a client, like say I like the Renegade, right? Where I want to encourage them to maybe have carbs in the evening, start their days with protein and fats. So I will kind of do like a create your own adventure. So I'll give them a kind of a write-up that says, meal 1, fats and proteins, meal 2 or snack, fat and some more protein, and then lunch, this, and this. And then that way, and then I give them a list of like all these different proteins that they can choose from, fats they can choose from. And I like to use the hand portion guide. Okay. A lot of my clients are not macro clients. So we do more hand portions.
What's hand, for people who are like, I don't know what that is. So we don't think we're...
So hand portion is like a way, so you've got like a full palm sized, I believe Precision Nutrition came up with it, or it is like, it's been around for a little bit, but essentially like a full palm size.
We can strike that from the comments. The whole
Precision.
Sorry. I'm totally kidding. Precision Nutrition, I love you guys and gals. They said nothing but love. Just kidding.
But it's a way of essentially measuring your food without weighing it.
Okay.
So that way,
a lot of people that's helpful. They don't get into the whole scale thing and all that stuff.
And that can be kind of triggering for people. It's like almost like overwhelming. Like they're like, no, I can't. It's too much.
For sure. And if you're somewhere else, you don't have to carry a scale and get obsessive and all those other things.
Out for dinner, all that stuff. So I use that method. And then clients that do want to track can track as well.
Okay.
And then they get like a kind of a piece of paper. I don't know. I feel like I'm like, bleh. They get suggestions on protein. They get suggestions on carbs.
On those things. And they can plug and play.
Yeah.
And it allows them to, I guess, have some autonomy, have some control. And not feel like, okay, I'm on. I didn't get peaches at 2:00 because this grocery store sold out. Now I'm going to go run off the road because I can't find peaches.
Right? I can't find. She said I had to have peaches, and I didn't get them. And I feel like it actually creates more stress when I'm like, I put something specific, and I'm like, they didn't have it, and I don't know what else to do. So it's
or they message you 40 times, you didn't answer, and they self-destruct.
Yes.
Like, I was trying to get in touch with you for peaches.
They didn't have this. They had this. I didn't know what to get. So it's like
it's true. And we're making light of it. And if there is a client that's listening, we are not making fun of clients. But that is a real thing, right? It's a real thing for a lot of clients, or they'll just like, I don't know what to do, so I didn't eat.
You short circuit, and I've been there, and I know it because I've been there, where it's like, it's not working. What do I just, and then your brain's just like, no, we can't work through this. So then this way, like if chicken thighs are on sale, we buy chicken thighs. If sausages are on sale, we buy sausages. Or if you forgot to go grocery shopping and you have what in the freezer, you use that.
I think that builds a calm with clients around food. And I think the more I'm learning and going is understanding clients feeling good about food, having great relationships, and not, if you have high cortisol when it comes to food, eliminating that is one of the best ways on to see results. Because a lot of people around food and planning, it's stressful, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's from guilt, whether it's from other stuff, whether it's just from habits. So I think that's a nice way to get clients to feel like, you know what, I'm pretty chill. Unless you are that client who's like, if you don't give me structure, my mind goes crazy. It stresses me out thinking. But beyond them, I think 99% of people like that kind of lifestyle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, like when I do have a gut specific client, and there's certain things that they cannot eat, or I have them on maybe like a low food map or a SIBO protocol, then I will there's certain things that I probably need them to eat at certain times, or, but that is also that's a very specific client. Right.
And just for those of you out there, she said the word FODMAP. Can you just kind of just quickly say what that is, just so people are like just what it refers to a little bit, so people aren't like, what'd you say?
It's basically foods that are low fermentation in your gut. So they do not cause an overgrowth of bacteria, which ends up happening with small intestinal bacteria overgrowth.
Right. So people who eat garlic and onions, those things can be FODMAP issue foods.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's a great thing, because a lot of clients may have those issues, and that it's helpful to kind of stay within those guidelines. So, number 2, weekend restriction.
Yes.
Not great. So how do we work on letting people relax on the weekends, but not blowing the doors off. How do you manage to do that?
So I encourage like just kind of like your foundational non-negotiables for the weekends, which would be prioritizing protein, prioritizing movement, and prioritizing hydration.
Well, say that again. I like that. Let's go back to that. So you still give some great guidelines, and those are pretty foundational. Like, because I think having the protein does what? What is the protein? It's going to help with our insulin. It's going to help with their cravings.
Insulin, cravings, fullness, like hunger cues. If you're hitting your protein goals, you're not going to be super snacky, because hitting protein goals is definitely like it's up there.
Yeah,
and I mean, the clients don't have to hit them exactly, but if they're prioritizing it, then that means that they're hitting it before they hit a snack, essentially.
I like that. Now you said hydrate next, so always having water. I'm like, water, but water's important for a lot of things, right? So what are some things that clients will see if they're having water enough during the day? What might they see rather than if they're missing water? What are some things that you see them like recognizing?
More energy, less brain fog, and then less hunger and less cravings as well. Like I think we underestimate water. So I always have them put, like Ken always has taught me, pink salt in the water, a little bit of pink salt in the water, extra hydration, absorption.
Yeah, that's great. No, it's true. You know what? We definitely, that's a whole nother podcast to talk about just water. I think that is a huge fundamental. And last one, you have movement, right?
Movement, yeah.
So what does that mean? Like, hey, I'm just do a little bit of movement here. I'm going to stretch, or I'm vacuuming, or what is movement considered for you? Like, what is it?
So movement for me would be, I do encourage my clients to get out for at least like 2 15-minute walks, or like minimum. Get outside, get the sun on your skin.
Nice.
If that's not possible, doing things around the house, getting up, walking around, just being conscious that you're not potatoing on the couch.
Okay.
I'm all for rest, but I think a little bit of active rest is really important as well. Low impact.
And for movement, again, why did you choose movement as one of those things that you want to have? What's one of the things, like, if they do movement, they'll get this? For coaches that are listening, they're like, well, I don't know.
Well, we all know it lowers insulin as well, especially like a nice early morning walk helps lower insulin, starts the day off right, or after meals, helps with like controlling blood sugar.
Yeah. And those right there,
like that right there. No more.
Right? I don't like quoting studies because I don't want to get into the whole studies thing, but I did hear a study multiple times by some great practitioners out there saying, one of the biggest things we always talk about is cholesterol and cardiovascular health, but they're really, and I learned this from late Charles Poliquin many years ago, is that metabolic health is more important. So like how you're managing insulin, diabetes, those are the biggest killers out there, not our cholesterol. But we're not going to get into that podcast because it's a whole different thing. And you need to be here when I have Carnivore MD and Liver King on here, because I want to have Liver King on here because I love those guys, and we can talk about that another time. That's an invitation if you're listening. But anyway, so back to that. Yeah. So movement. Is important, right?
Spiral.
That's right. Here's what nuts there. All right. Next, we talked about, I love this next point, and it's the percentages, the 70-30.
Yes.
Talk about that, the percentages and moving them around. And what is that? I love that.
I think it goes back into like the seasons as well. It's like, and same with the weekends. So you can kind of take more of, instead of being like, I went off the rails and I completely blew it, you could kind of just be a little bit more, maybe I took a bit more of a 70-30 percentage like approach. So we all talk about the 80-20 rule, right? Where 80% like, clean, clean in quotations, and then 20%, free, and a little bit more if you want like your little snacks or your treats. But if you kind of look at it more saying, okay, well, I was okay. Like I hit these, but then I had a dinner out and I had some drinks. So when looking at it a little bit more realistically without kind of feeling like you're spiraling and you have no idea what really happened. And
I find that I can almost picture the verbiage there and saying, instead of some clients, and I always try to coach them not saying, I was bad. I'm like, we're never bad. We're never good. Food's never bad, never good. There's different challenges, different choices. But I could imagine a client saying, instead of saying, I was bad this weekend, this weekend, man, I was 70-30.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to get back on to 80-20, or this is where I think it can be. Yeah. I'm going to be 80-20 for the next 5 days to kind of get things back on track. It's a completely different emotional mindset than saying, I was bad this weekend, or I was good this weekend, right?
And I hate those words, like, because it's really just saying that this is bad food and this is good food. And there's really there isn't any bad or good food. It's all about like how often you're eating it. Like, if you're having it a little bit on the weekend,
And how
enjoy
your body
yourself,
responds to it, right?
right?
Like I've had clients who broccoli made them look 3 months pregnant, and broccoli is supposed to be like good food.
Yeah.
But if they're destroyed by it, and once we eliminated broccoli, they were flat, abs felt good, cycles periods were normal, skin was good, hair wasn't falling out. So it's like, how do you call foods good or bad, right? So that's a great way. I like that percentage. Did you start doing that first and then did it with clients? Was it something you thought up with your clients? Like, how did you start kind of like playing with that word, the verbiage?
It's something I noticed I was doing, and then I started kind of bringing it into my clients because I was like, I was starting to get away. I was trying to figure out how I was kind of mindset shifting. It came about for me when I was coming off of a vacation, and it was like, I was like, oh, like I'm just going to transition more into like an 80-20 now. Instead of on vacation, I was more of like 60-40.
I like that. So I love that terminology.
It took the stress out of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Instead of being like, I got to start all over again on Monday.
Yeah. Even the way you say it, I was in a 70-30, I'm an 80-40. I have
flows.
no emotional connection to it. So I say it very freely and I feel nothing inside from it. I think that I'm going to start using that.
Do it,
It's going to be in the manual for the next TM. And I'm going to quote this amazing woman here as the founder of it. All right. Last one, we talked about breaking the day into quarters.
Yes.
Another gem. Let's talk. What is that about?
So I think this one's really good for weekends, but also for the weeks as well. Especially if you have clients that weekends, they have dinners or family events. We're getting into the holidays, and this is a very stressful time for a lot of your clients, and maybe even for you as well. So breaking your day into quarters and being like, okay, so my last quarter, I have a holiday party, but that doesn't mean that my first 3 quarters of the day have to be out the window. So did I hit my protein? Did I hit my hydration? Have I moved? And if you've kind of done that in your first couple quarters, go enjoy yourself.
It doesn't mean that it makes the day not a write-off. Because a lot of people say, yeah, it's a write-off. It's a shit show today. And they make today a horrible day when it's really that.
Just one meal.
Yeah. And so I think for you, if I understand this correctly, the mindset is when you really kind of quantify or put that in little pieces, if someone has something in the middle of the day, it still allows them to feel successful on the other parts of the day.
Yes, yeah.
I like that. So they're walking thinking, mid-quarter, I kind of, effed around a little bit, but you know what? I'm on it for the other 3. So 3 quarters are good, one's a little bit off. Who cares? It's a great day. It's a win versus, I did a shitty day today. What'd you do? Well, I had a Mars bar at 2 o'clock. Yeah. And then the whole day is washed and then they feel horrible. It's like, it's not, right? So
or we have the client that will throw it, they have one bad meal and they throw it all out the window. Like,
they wash the other 3 quarters.
Yeah, I had brunch and then, day shot, I'm going to go binge on this, and this.
Yeah.
So let's just, keep it to that quarter and then go get back on it.
That is a great way for coaches to talk to their clients and teach them that verbiage, that mindset, because it helps clients be successful long after we are done coaching them. I think that's the thing, right?
Big takeaways.
That means great referrals back to you because people are still getting great results a year from now, as opposed to saying, things aren't going great, I keep coming back. That's a great, I love that. Where'd you get that? Where'd you get the quarters thing from?
I think I heard someone talk about that, and then I was like, that's a really good way to look at it. And I wish I could credit them because I remember just kind of hearing about it and I was like, that's a great idea.
We're crediting you.
Yeah.
Whoever you are
whoever
out there,
had this, whoever came up with it, I'm sorry.
Call in if you've done it and we'll give you the credit. But right now we're crediting Whitney as the creator. I love that. Those are some, coaches listening, I've learned a lot today. Those are some great points that I want to start doing with clients and using that I haven't been. I'm like, that is so amazing. So I like that. I like how things are going with that. Now we did talk about, let's say we're doing these things and clients are like, maybe they're doing it too much. Maybe their body's not moving the way they want now. Now, how do we work with that? How do we work with it? Because there are coaches who are going to say, I could do that, but my client's not going to get anywhere. What am I going to say? Give us an example. If that happens, what do we do? What are some things to focus on?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good thing to remember is you got to treat each client individually, and some may take it to the extreme, right? Kind of take the carrot and go for it.
90-10.
90-10, if it's happening too frequently, that's when you check back in with them and you revisit goals. You ask them if their goals have changed. And it's also making sure that you've had that conversation with your client at the beginning about what their expectations are. So setting expectations, because when it comes down to it, we all know, to get abs, it takes a certain level of restriction and effort that maybe someone is willing to put in. So looking at your client and then their goals and saying, what is actually reasonable? And we can get to here, but this is actually how long it's going to take, and these are what you have to do. So setting goals, and then doing like, I think if everyone's kind of gone through, like there's like the outcome goals and then the process goals. So like the goals you have to hit that end goal, essentially. So what it's going to take to get there.
Right. They end up not being somewhere that they're like weird about.
Yeah.
You can say, okay, I know it takes this to get here.
Yeah.
I still want to have that flexible lifestyle. So I know I'm going to have to give a little bit maybe over here. Or if I know I want to get a little bit tighter, you may say, well, you may need to watch some things, exchange some food, do some things over there. Are you okay with that? Yes, I am. And then kind of move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So lots of communication and always checking in with your client. Like I check in with my clients through the week. And then always, and asking again, those open-ended questions, the whys, like the 5 whys, getting deeper into their actual why, like why they actually want to hit that goal, breaking that down.
You know what? I think that was kind of like a wrap for that. That was bang on. I love this episode because I think for coaches to walk forward and start having better tools to keep clients happy, you're getting clients better results.
Yeah.
And that's, at the end of the day, that's why we're in this, right? Is to find better ways for clients to live.
Exactly.
Not to impose our domination on them and to make them feel like garbage for not doing what we think they should be doing.
Definitely.
We got to meet them where they're at and help them win. So that was awesome. So if people want to find you and want to like reach out to you, whether for your services or just want to ask you questions,
chat,
or coaches want, or if clients are listening and you want to reach out to Whitney, or if coaches like, how do I find out more about your thought process? How do they find you? Where's the best place?
Yeah, so you can reach me on my Instagram, which is _wellness with wit on Instagram.
I'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure. That'll be linked as well. You can just feel free to like slide in the DMs, reach out, leave me a comment.
You have some hilarious reels and stuff. So I like the realism of your stories.
Yeah.
Check her stories into reels. She has some really good, straightforward, especially going into Fridays, coming out Mondays. I always watch that stuff, and I've learned a lot, and I love it. I think they're
good.
hilarious.
Oh, I'm so glad.
My dear, it's been
Thanks
a
for
pleasure.
having me. Yes.
It's been long enough, right?
Yeah.
I said I was going to come up to Guelph like 9 years ago. And
I know. And you're like, I'm driving through Guelph.
I know. I'm driving through right now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hi. Bye.
But I am going to have you back on the show more because I think this is just a fraction of what we spoke about.
Like
I think there's so much stuff. Yeah.
So
all right. Well,
that's great.
Everyone out there, I said coaching to success is definitely one of the units we have in the Transformation Mentorship. So if you want to understand more about that, you can always visit www.transformationmentorship.ca to find out more about our next cohort where we teach you all things, how to coach clients, how to get holistic transformations, everything to be successful as a stress-reduced fat loss practitioner. Our next one's in February. So check that out. And until next time, I'm Ken. This is
Whitney.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.